What would you do if you found something that could take you out of your own time? Would you use it, even if you did not know where it might send you? I never thought I would ask myself such questions, but my life changed in ways I could never imagine. My name is Elena, and everything began in an old museum where I worked. I was 25 years old when I started my job at the City History Museum in Lisbon. The museum was quiet most days, and I liked it that way. My work was simple but important. I cleaned the glass cases, arranged old papers, and helped the senior staff restore small objects. It was not exciting work, but it felt safe. I thought my days would always be the same. I never expected to discover something that would change my life. Before I tell you more, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? Which city, which country? Write it in the comments. And if you enjoy this kind of story, please subscribe so you can join me again for more English stories. One evening, when the museum was almost empty, I was asked to clean an old globe in the geography section. It was very large, almost taller than me, and the colors of the countries had faded over time. As I moved the globe to clean under it, I noticed a small keyhole at the bottom. I had never seen it before. I pushed the globe gently, and it opened with a hidden door. Inside, there was a small bronze compass. It was beautiful and heavy in my hand. The needle did not point north, but instead it spun quickly in circles. I felt a strange pull in my chest as I looked at it. I placed the compass on a table and examined it carefully. Around the edges were markings I had never seen before. They were not words in Portuguese or any other language I knew. The surface shone as if it had been polished yesterday, even though it looked like it could be hundreds of years old. At the back, there was a small button. My hands shook as I pressed it. The compass needle stopped moving. Then it began to glow with a soft golden light. I wanted to let go, but it was too late. The light grew stronger until it filled the whole room. I closed my eyes because I could no longer see. A loud noise filled my ears, and my body felt like it was falling. Then everything went silent. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on cold stone. I stood slowly, confused. I was still in a kind of hall, but it was not the museum I knew. The walls were darker, and the smell was different, like coal and smoke. I walked to a window and looked outside. My heart almost stopped. The street was filled with horses, carts, and people in long dresses and hats. There were no cars, no buses, no signs of the life I knew. A man shouted in the distance as a tram rolled by, pulled by horses. I whispered to myself, "This cannot be real." But it was. I had gone back in time. I did not know how far, but I knew it was at least about 100 years. I felt my knees weaken, and I wanted to cry, but I told myself to be strong. I could not let anyone see me like this. I tried to leave the building, but my modern clothes gave me away. Women stared at me with surprise, and men frowned as I walked past. I pulled my jacket close to hide myself, but it did not help. My shoes clicked loudly on the cobblestones, and I felt like every eye was on me. I wanted to run, but I did not know where to go. Then I walked too fast around a corner and crashed into a young man. We both almost fell, but he caught my arm. He was tall, with brown hair and kind eyes. He looked at me with surprise, but not anger. "Are you all right, miss?" he asked in a soft but firm voice. I nodded, though my voice trembled when I tried to answer. I am lost." He studied me closely. "You are not from here, are you?" I froze. What could I say? Should I lie? But something in his eyes told me I could trust him. I am not, I whispered. I am from another time. He looked at me strangely but did not laugh. I believe you, he said finally. You look like no one I have ever seen. He paused, then gave me a small smile. My name is Adrian. You need help. Come with me before someone questions you. I followed him, though my legs felt heavy. He took me to a small tailor's shop, or, with the few coins he carried, he bought me a long dress and a shawl. The fabric was rougher than the clothes I was used to, but it helped me look like I belonged. I hid my shoes under the dress, and for the first time since I had arrived, people stopped staring at me. We walked through the busy streets together. Adrian explained that it was the year 1906. Lisbon looked beautiful, but it was also strange to me. The air smelled of smoke from the lamps, and the sound of horses filled the streets. There were no tall buildings of glass, no cars, no phones. I felt like I was inside a painting, but I also felt trapped. Adrian noticed my silence. Do not be afraid, he said gently. You are not alone. I will help you. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to think this was only temporary, that the compass could bring me back. But what if I never returned? What if I was stuck here forever? That night, Adrian brought me to his home. It was a small house near the river, simple but warm. He offered me food, bread, and soup, and I ate because I was too hungry to refuse. He gave me a small room to sleep in. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing. I had met a stranger, and yet I felt safe with him. Still, I missed my world. I thought of my parents, my friends, my phone, my life that I might never see again. The next morning, I woke to the sound of birds outside the window. Adrian had already prepared breakfast. He smiled when he saw me. I thanked him, and he simply said, "You must have strength. Today we will try to learn more about your compass." Hearing the word compass made my heart jump. I had almost forgotten about it in all the fear and confusion. I pulled it from my pocket and placed it on the table. It no longer glowed, and the needle rested quietly. Adrian studied it with interest. "I have seen many instruments," he said slowly, "but nothing like this. Perhaps it is the key to your return." I wanted to hope, but fear held me back. If the compass had sent me here, could it send me back? Or had it already done what it was meant to do? I had no answers. As the day went on, Adrian took me to see parts of the city. He showed me the grand squares, the churches, and the river shining under the sun. The city was alive, full of music and voices. For a moment, I forgot my fear. Adrian laughed at small things, and his laughter made me smile. But then, as the sun began to set, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I remembered my real home. I remembered who I was, and I knew this could not last. I was a woman out of time. Adrian saw the sadness in my face, and he did not ask me questions. He simply said, "Tomorrow we will look for answers. For now, rest. You are safe with me." That night, lying in the small room, I held the compass in my hand. I whispered to myself, "Please, if you can, take me home." But the compass stayed silent, and the needle did not move. I closed my eyes with tears on my face, not knowing what tomorrow would bring. The next morning, the city woke before me. I could hear the noise of carts rolling on the streets and the sound of children laughing somewhere outside. I lay still in the small bed, staring at the low wooden ceiling. For a moment, I forgot where I was, but then I saw the rough dress lying on the chair. It was real. I was still here. Adrian called softly from the kitchen. "Breakfast is ready." His voice was calm, as if everything was normal. But for me, nothing was normal. I walked into the kitchen and saw him placing bread and cheese on the table. He had also prepared coffee, dark and strong. I thanked him and sat down. We ate in silence for a while, until he looked at me and said, "Elena, I know you are far from home, but you are not alone now. We will find a way." I wanted to believe him, but my heart was heavy. "What if I never go back?" I asked. "What if this compass has trapped me here forever?" He reached across the table and touched my hand. "Then you will have a friend who will not leave you, but let us not give up yet." Later that day, he took me to the library near the center of the city. It was not like the modern libraries I knew. The books smelled of dust and age, and the tables were heavy wood. Adrian spoke to the librarian, an old man with sharp eyes. He explained that we wanted to look at books on navigation and instruments. The man agreed and led us to a shelf filled with volumes. I turned the pages one by one. Some showed pictures of compasses, astrolabes, and maps, but none looked like mine. My compass was different, alive in some way. Adrian read with me, his finger following each line. Hours passed, and the sun outside moved across the windows. At last, we found a short note in a book of travelers. It spoke of a bronze compass that holds the sun inside it, guiding not the earth but the heart of time. My breath caught. "This must be it," I whispered. Adrian read the words again, slower this time. "If one presses its mark, the traveler is carried where their soul needs to go. But the way back may depend on love, faith, or chance." I shivered. It felt like the book was speaking directly to me. Love, faith, or chance. Which one would I need? We left the library as the bells of the church rang in the distance. The sky was red with sunset, and the streets were busy with workers returning home. Adrian walked beside me in silence, as if thinking deeply. At last he said, "Elena, perhaps this compass did not send you here by mistake. Perhaps it wanted you to meet someone." I looked at him, and I felt a warmth in my chest. I turned my face away quickly, not ready to answer. That evening, we sat by the small fire in his house. Adrian told me about his life. He was a teacher, he said, though he often struggled to earn enough. He loved books and music, and he dreamed of writing one day. He had lost his parents when he was young, and he had built his life slowly, piece by piece. I listened, and I found myself smiling at his words. He spoke with passion, even when life was not easy. It reminded me of the stories my grandfather once told me. I wanted to tell Adrian about my world too, but I feared it might hurt him. Still, I could not hide forever, so I spoke of my life in the 21st century. I told him about tall buildings of glass, about electric lights and moving pictures on screens. I told him about planes that could cross the sky in hours, and about the phones that let people speak across oceans. He listened with wide eyes, as if I were describing a dream. "It sounds like magic," he said softly. "It is only progress," I answered. "But sometimes I wonder if people are happier. We have more, but we forget simple things." He nodded. "Maybe happiness is not in the tools, but in the heart." That night, I lay awake for a long time. My thoughts were full of him. I knew I should focus only on finding a way home, but part of me felt drawn to him. Was the compass showing me not just another time, but another life I could live? The days that followed were filled with both fear and comfort. By day, Adrian and I searched for clues about the compass. We asked old sailors near the port, and we read through more books. By night, we spoke for hours in his home. We shared food, laughter, and sometimes silence that felt deeper than words. One afternoon, he took me to the river. The water sparkled under the sun, and small boats rocked gently on the waves. He showed me how to row, his hand guiding mine on the oar. At first I laughed at my clumsy attempts, but soon the rhythm became smooth. I felt the wind on my face, and for a moment I forgot my fear. Adrian looked at me then, and I saw something in his eyes that made my heart beat faster. "Elena," he said quietly, "I do not know why you came here, but I thank the stars that you did." I wanted to answer, but the words caught in my throat. I turned my face to the water, afraid he would see too much. That evening, when we returned, I held the compass in my hand again. The needle spun slowly, almost like it was breathing. I pressed the button, but nothing happened. Adrian watched me with patience. "Perhaps it is not ready," he said, "or perhaps it is waiting for you to decide what you truly want." His words stayed with me all night. What did I want? To go home, of course. But another voice whispered in my heart, what if home was no longer only in my own time? What if it was here, with him? The next day, we visited an old church. The priest there was known for his knowledge of strange tales. Adrian asked if he had ever heard of a compass that moved through time. The priest's eyes grew dark, and he crossed himself. "I have heard of it," he said. "They say it chooses people, not the other way around. Some return, some do not. Be careful, for such gifts always come with a price." As we walked back through the streets, I held Adrian's arm tightly. His warmth calmed me, but the priest's words echoed in my mind. A price? What would mine be? That evening, Adrian lit a candle and placed it between us on the table. He looked at me seriously. "Elena, if the compass gives you a choice, I want you to go back. Your family, your life, they are waiting for you. Do not stay here for me." My throat tightened. I wanted to say I would never leave him, but I knew he was right. My world was still mine, even if my heart was beginning to change. That night, when I lay in bed, I whispered into the darkness, "If love is the price, then I will pay it. But please, compass, do not take him from me too soon." I closed my eyes, holding both fear and hope in my chest. I did not know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew one thing. I was no longer the same woman who had once cleaned glass in a quiet museum. I was someone who had found a bond across time, and I could not turn away from it. The days passed quickly, each one leaving me deeper inside a life I never expected to live. I walked the streets of 1906 Lisbon with Adrian, learning the sounds, the smells, the rhythm of the city. I began to know the market women by their smiles, the old sailors by their voices, and the children who ran past us laughing. Yet inside me there was a shadow. I knew that at any moment, the compass could change everything. One evening, when the air was cool and the sky was painted with soft red light, Adrian and I sat by the river. The compass lay between us on the stone wall. Its needle was moving again, slowly but with clear direction, as if pointing towards something unseen. I watched it in silence, afraid to touch it. Adrian broke the silence first. "Elena, maybe this is the sign. Maybe it is ready to take you home." His words were calm, but I could see the sadness behind his eyes. My throat felt tight. "And if I do not want to go?" He looked at me with gentle honesty. then you will give up everything you know, and one day you may regret it. I do not want you to lose yourself for me." I wanted to argue, but deep inside I knew he spoke the truth. My family, my friends, my future, they were all still waiting for me, even if they did not know it. But when I looked at Adrian, I felt as if I had already found my home. The following morning, the compass shone brighter than ever. I woke to see golden light leaking through the cracks of the wooden box where I kept it. When I touched it, the glow spread into my hands. Adrian came into the room and froze when he saw it. "It is calling you," he said quietly. "You must decide." We spent that day together as if it were both our first and last. Adrian took me to the highest hill in the city, where the wind was strong and the view stretched far across the rooftops. We sat close, his arm around me, and spoke little. Words felt too small for the weight in our hearts. That night, in his small house, the compass began to hum softly. I knew the time had come. Adrian placed his hand on mine, steady and warm. "Elena," he whispered, "no matter what happens, I will be grateful. You gave me a gift I never expected. You showed me love I thought I would never know." Tears filled my eyes, and you showed me that even across time, hearts can meet. I will never forget you, Adrian. The compass grew brighter, and the room filled with golden light. My heart beat wildly. I wanted to hold on to him forever, but the power was stronger than both of us. He held me tightly, and together we pressed the button. The light grew until I could see nothing. My ears rang with a loud sound, and then silence covered everything. I felt my body fall, and then I was lying on a cold floor again. I opened my eyes. The world around me was different. The walls were white, clean, and bright. I was back in the museum. The globe stood where I had first found it. The room smelled of polish, not smoke. My heart pounded. I was home. I stood quickly and looked around. "Adrian," I called, my voice echoing in the empty hall. But no one answered. The compass lay heavy in my hand, its light gone. The needle was still. I ran outside the museum, hoping, praying he had come with me. But the streets were full of cars, buses, and people holding phones. My world had returned, but Adrian had not. I cried there on the steps of the museum, my tears falling into the stone. I had lost him to time. Days passed, but the pain did not fade. My parents were happy to see me, but they could not understand my silence. I went back to work at the museum, but nothing felt the same. I walked the halls like a ghost, carrying a secret no one would believe. One afternoon, I was cleaning the archives in the deepest part of the building. Old boxes were piled high, filled with letters and papers. I moved them slowly, tired and lost in thought. Then my hand stopped. I saw a book with a name written on its spine. Adrian Silva, 1881 to 1964. I froze. My breath caught in my chest. My hands shook as I opened the book. Inside, the handwriting was his. Page after page, he had written of his life, his work, and his thoughts. And then I found it, an entry dated 1906. I met a woman named Elena. She came from another time. She changed my life in ways I cannot explain. I do not know if she will stay, but if she leaves, I want the world to know she was real. She was my heart. Tears blurred the page. I turned to the last entries, written years later. His words were older, slower, but full of the same feeling. I never saw her again, but I lived with her memory. She gave me strength through every year. If anyone finds this, know that my love was real. Elena, if you ever read this, I waited for you all my life. I pressed the book to my chest and cried until my body ached. He had lived a full life, but his heart had remained with me. Across time, across a century, he had kept our love alive. From that day, I returned to the archives often. I read his words again and again. They gave me both pain and comfort. I could not hold him, but I could hold his memory. And in a way, that was enough. One evening, as I closed the museum, I took out the compass again. It was silent, lifeless. But I whispered to it, "Thank you. You gave me him, even for a short time." I placed the compass back inside the globe, where it had first been hidden. Maybe one day, another person would find it. Maybe they would live a story of their own. But for me, the journey was complete. As I walked out into the night, the city lights glowing around me, I felt both sorrow and peace. Adrian had lived a century without me, but he had never forgotten, and I would never forget him. My love had crossed time itself. And though he was gone, his words, his memory, and his heart would stay with me forever. If this story touched your heart, I would love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done if you found the compass? Tell me in the comments, and please subscribe, like, and share so more people can join us for new emotional English stories.